surrounded as I am by a painting of mine and a model of mine that I purchased some years ago, none of which has anything to do with what we're going to be drawing today, except that this is a ship and I will have a boat in my drawing. And so let us lead into that right now. I will show you some of the drawings and paintings that I have done, which is leading into the sketch, the tutorial that we're going to be doing right after. Enjoy. From drawing to painting, and the steps along the way. But of course my drawings, or my channel here, is not about painting. Lovely as these might be, it is about how to get there in the drawing stage. My name is Robert Izerwanka, and welcome to my drawing channel. Now these drawings always begin with line, and they end with shading. So even though I'm drawing with a line, given the fact that I'm drawing with a pencil sort of forces you to do so, even though I'm using the side of it, still have to draw a line. I am thinking in shape, and as I finish the shapes, I will then trace them out a little bit, define them a little more is a better way to put it, adding in detail, and then I shade them in. And the shade that I'm talking about is, of course, the values of the drawing. Instead of painting these drawings to a final completion, as you saw in my intro, the guys in the boat, and then, of course, the painting of the guys in the boat. In this particular case, I will only do shading values into it, so the drawing will be done when that's done. No paint. Now, as I move along here, you can see I'm just quickly adding in the various shapes, the various parts of this drawing. The dock, the grass, and the details thereof. The seagull I had drawn in there, by the way, I'm not happy with. I'm looking at it right now and I'm going, that's too high, too high. Actually, not just too high, but they almost look equidistant, almost, not quite. It's just looking too contrived. Things that are contrived must be changed, and of course out comes the handy-dandy eraser, and I will swiftly do exactly that, change it. When you're in the step one stage, as I call it, you're drawing lightly, so you should be able to erase things very, very easily and quickly and cleanly. If you've pressed down too hard, like I'm doing right now in the tracing part of it, you're going to have a little bit of a tough time erasing that clean. So if you're making mistakes and you've traced over those mistakes, you're going to find yourself in a bit of a bind as far as getting back to a nice clean white paper if you have to make changes. So make sure you do your erasing and making your changes when all the drawing is very light and easy, much easier to adjust. Now I'm already starting to shade in here. You can see there, here I'm going to town, just starting to shade in. One more detail, a stuffed fish over, taxidermied fish over top of the door. I thought that was a nice little touch, so I added that in there. I love old buildings like this, by the way. These, it's just, you know, the way they weather and sag and all that kind of thing. You know, it's just something about it. It's character. It's got character. And I'm beginning to shade in more of this drawing. You can see, we got to get to the barrel, back to the guy. I'm zigzagging back and forth here. But adding a little bit of shade, reflection in the water, that gets some mood going on this thing here. Yeah, adding in the values. That's where this drawing becomes something three-dimensional. Till then, it's sort of like a coloring book or a cartoon drawing. It just has outlines. And it's not all that interesting. Well, it's interesting, but it's not all that exciting. And as soon as you start to add in the shading like I'm doing here now it's starting to become an interesting drawing. It also brings drama into it. I talk about this thing called counterpoint, light against dark, dark against light. That's really what it's all about. It's a matter of how the dark and the light interact with one another. The shadows and shading that I'm adding in here right now is starting to really bump that building out, starting to give emphasis, drama. And the more you add into that and the darker you put in certain elements, certain areas, you can see I'm really punching up the dark. There she goes. And when you do that, this thing starts to take on quite the dramatic look. Gives it a real three-dimensional quality. And little hard edges here and there with the point of the pencil always is great. And some softening as well, using the side of the pencil. So it's a combo of soft and hard edges. Keep working those nice along here in the water. Looking very good. We're almost done, but we need a couple of birds in the sky there, by George. A couple more birds. I got one, but one isn't good enough. This is looking good. Here come them birds with the flick of a wrist, and you got yourself a couple of birds. Wonderful. Little touching up, and it is done. I hope you enjoyed this drawing. So until next time, keep your pencil sharp and keep practicing.